And welcome to another edition of the True Patriot Outfitters Podcast, special edition, All-American Kayak Classic, some dock talk. Folks, we have got a really good episode for you here tonight that I think you are going to really enjoy. Some cool, exciting news. We have joining us here the boss man himself, Mr. Boothe. How are you, Josh?
Doing good, sir.
Awesome. Listen, folks, this is a special edition we have here. We're going to talk about this current season a little bit. We encourage you to, if you're tuning into us live, jump in the comment section there, and I'll do my best to make sure we field any questions that you might have throughout this. And you can trust that there's been a lot of brain power in listening to the anglers out there. Best part of this whole thing is going to be talking about next season here and what's right around the corner. So without further ado, let's go ahead and I'm going to turn the mic over to you, boss, and go for it. This is it's all you.
All right, yeah, we might as well just dive right in. We're having this discussion, based on the fact that we've had, numbers, drop really bad this year. Attendance has been very poor, so we felt like there were some adjustments that need to be made. Don't want to give up on this series yet, and there's a lot of guys that really want us to keep going with this, so we're going to give it another shot. So we need to tweak some things. We got to get these numbers up. We got to make more anglers be excited about participating. So here it is. Here's what we're going to do. We'll start with the schedule. We're going to shorten the schedule just a little bit. There'll be a 7-tournament series. So there'll be 7 events for Angler of the Year, and we're going to go off your best 4. So best 4, 7 for AOI. So that's going to be a little bit of a shorter season than we've been used to, but we're going to have a little bit better quality of events, and there's going to be a lot less conflict with the other series. AJ and Steve Owens and Drew Gregory, they've all been really great at working with me, and we've all got our schedules pretty much set, and there's not going to be any conflicts. So not really ready to release the schedule just yet, but it is about 90% done, and we're going to go to some really great places next year. So that's going to be that's going to be our first adjustment. Best 4, 7 for AOI.
I think that's going to be a huge deal. It kind of lowers down some commitment piece there where we can draw some folks in, and really allows us to focus on these events with information that you'll be sharing here, shortly. Where we want to really make these things, each venue something special to that guys are going to want to be a part of.
Yeah, that's right, and we're going to do something pretty different this year for our championship. We will have a championship at the end of the year, and the top 25 in Angler of the Year points are going to qualify for this tournament with no entry fee. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to be taking a little bit of money out of everyone's entry fee all season long. We're going to be putting it into a pot, and we're going to beef up that championship pot and make it pay out really big. Now, still going to be an open championship. Anyone can enter and fish it, but the top 25 in AOI are going to get in for free.
That's going to be huge. That'll be it has the potential being an awesome payday for that top 25.
Yeah, and we're going to be working hard on getting sponsorship support as well. So we're going to beat that sucker up and make that championship something that you want to qualify for and get in on free. Or if you don't qualify and you're not in that top 25, you can still pay your way to get in and fish and compete. The championship will not be worth points. It's just going to be all about the money and the prizes. So you're in the AOI race. Top 25 get in for free.
That's awesome.
So, and as far as that goes for membership dues, we've heard what the anglers have been saying, and we're going to drop the membership requirement. There will be no membership requirement to compete next year for the All-American Series. Now, members will earn AOI points and get a small discounted entry fee, but that's it. Anyone can come fish these tournaments without having to worry about joining and being a member if they don't want to. Yeah,
that was something that we did hear a ton of, that guys were not, there are folks, I mean, whether we like it or not, the bottom line is there's a lot of local guys that like to jackpot these things. And, there's pros and cons. The pro or the con to it is that a lot of times if they gather AOI points, it kind of, that's been the sticky wicket. So in this case here, non-member, you can compete, but you're not getting AOI points. So it doesn't affect the AOI anglers that are out there competing, for AOI points.
Yeah, and
as much.
If you're going to be just fishing 1 or 2 tournaments, and it makes sense, you don't really want to join and compete. But if you want to go for that and compete in that championship for free, you can go ahead and sign up, and the dues will be just like they were this year. We're going to keep them at $40. It'd just be $40.
Nice.
So optional membership for next year, but if you want to get in that top 25 to get into for the free championships, then you need to be a member.
And one other thing, we are trying to work on some membership packages as well. We can't commit to anything just yet, but that's one of the things we want to look into is when you join up and become a member with the All-American, we're going to try to get you, at least something to say that, hey, there you go.
Yeah, hopefully some T-shirts, hats, and some stickers, some stuff like that. But we'll see what we can come up with. But we are going to be working hard on this off season to try and bring in some sponsorship support. We got a little bit of a different team now. Tyler's stepping down, and Gene, you're coming up to take his place, and so I'm pretty excited about how this is going to refuel the fire. There, I said it. That was a mouthful. But.
Yeah. Too many F's all in one move.
Yeah. All right, so and among other things, we're going to be working on more anglers promotion. More videos, more coverage of you at the events that you can. If you're a sponsored angler, that you'll have more content that you can use for your sponsors as well. We want to try and work on that as well.
100%. One of the things I am making a mission on trying to accomplish is that media coverage, ways to get photos during competition, awards locations, and increasing that, and really giving anglers, also doing our interviews for the podcast literally right at the event, but not at the time of awards. We'll do that right after. I'll be honest with you, that's one of the most some of those award things that you watch out there can go on and on and on. And I think, giving the angler their own spotlight where we can do the interview award system, I think would be, just a lot cleaner move for folks. And like you said, it picks up that individual exposure for sponsors and such. Yeah,
and we're not an elite series. We're not a pro series. We're not the big leagues. We're just a blue collar series for guys here in the Midwest. Try to give everybody an opportunity to get to a good fishery and have a good tournament, without having to drive 100 hours to get there. So, that's why we're going to relax on some things and just focus on having good events. And, one of those things is we want to have better awards ceremonies. So we're going to work real hard to make sure we've got an indoor venue, a nice location at every tournament that we have. No more meeting up at a ramp or in a parking lot or anything like that. We're going to have a nice awards, and hopefully we can get some food in there and some snacks and drinks and make that a little more appealing for the anglers as well to attend.
I love it. It's a great, one of the other thing for the some of the newer guys or the guys that do travel, networking, man. Getting to know the guys you compete with. I mean, that's how things get done in this industry, is getting to know people and letting them know you. So award ceremonies are great networking points, and you pick up a lot of good info there a lot of times, and that helps you at the next event.
Yeah, and you can also maybe find a travel buddy for the next event, or some guys to share Airbnbs with. When travel expenses are getting stupid expensive right now with the way gas and food costs are. And the buddy system works. If you can find an Airbnb that's got 3 beds and you can split that 3 ways, that's usually the way to go. So it helps to get out there and mingle and break bread with your fellow anglers, and get to know like-minded people as well. Makes new friends.
For sure. Todd Martin says parking lot beers will be missed.
Well, there's still going to be parking lots at the event, so
right.
You can still have them indoors and out.
Geez, Todd, you lush. Don't worry, you'll get your beer.
I like my beer too. We'll have beer. And as far as that goes, of us not, taking this thing too seriously and having too many rules that make everything hard to enforce or understand, we're going to get rid of the off limits period as well. That's something that's just not us. Maybe an upper echelon series can do something like that, but we're not that. So there's not going to be any more off limits period or official practice period. We're not going to have any designated launch point lists or anything. It's still going to be, you got to find your own public access and launch. Our boundaries or rules are going to stay the same. Once you launch, you can go anywhere that you can paddle to without getting out of your kayak. So that's what kayaks are for, and that's why we love kayak tournaments, is getting in those backwater areas and in places where maybe no one knows about or has found, and those fish are going to chew on whatever you throw at them. So we want to keep that aspect in there. So we're going to loosen up on all that and just go back to the old school ways.
I think that's huge, man. As I said off air, I love the fact that we're living in our skin here. I mean, I'm going to say something, and I don't mean disrespect to any other series out there on this, but there is no real professional kayak fishing series. As long as you can pay to enter and there's no qualification, we can't really claim it. I mean, there's some high dollar ones out there, make no mistake, and high profile, but being, who we are, flyover states, and blue collar America here, I personally love these changes, and then the consistency of the public access. That's about as easy as it gets. Just can't cross private property, man. Plain and simple.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it stays true, and I think it keeps life easy. Like we said too, the off limits, that is such a hard rule to try and police, and rules are no good. They clutter things up if you can't truly enforce them. So,
yep, it just causes more problems than it's worth, really.
Exactly.
All right, what else we got here to talk about? We got any questions coming in yet?
No questions just yet. We've got a couple guys that were showing up saying they were a little bit late. Todd wants more beer. Marty Hughes just said backwaters is where it's at.
That's right. Exactly.
Exactly.
That's where I want to be too when I'm out on the water. I want to get away from everything and go as far away from everything as possible. So I know exactly what that's like. I think we all do. All right. So one minor thing I want to throw in here real quick before we talk about the big one. The big bass pot, it's going to be taken from $10. It's still going to be included in your entry fee, but instead of a $10 going towards it, it's going to go down to $7. So we're going to lower that a little bit, and that'll put the $3 balance, that's going to go into the overall payout. So it's just going to, instead of deducting $10 for the big bass pot per person, you're going to pay $7 per person out of your entry fee.
That makes sense.
And the reason behind that, I mean, with low numbers, it's not really an issue, but as numbers grow, that big bass pot can get pretty inflated. And, if big bass pot's paying out more than second, third, or fourth place, that just seems a little off. So I think this will bring a little bit more balance to the big bass pot.
Here's a good question, a good segue for you. From James Leggett, maybe I missed it, Friday and Saturday or Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, that's the elephant in the room.
Yeah, it is.
All right, well, what we've decided to do going forward for 2024 is we are going to stick with 2-day events, and we're going to go to Saturday and Sunday. And we're going to cut it a little early on Sunday. So Sunday tournaments are going to end at noon. So it's basically going to be like a day and a half tournament instead of a 2-day tournament. So all day Saturday, and then we'll end at noon on Sunday. That'll give guys hopefully some more time to travel home or show up or come to the awards and not have to be in such a rush. So I hope it's a good compromise. It's not a 1-day tournament. It's not a 2-day tournament, but it's a new hybrid that I think could work out pretty well. So like, for example, Saturday will start and it'll run from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then on Sunday, it'll be 6 a.m. to noon. So we're only cutting out a few hours, but I think those few hours might really help anglers with travel time getting home. At least that's the hope anyway.
Right. It's a solid sense piece too. I mean, it's a nice balance. There's a lot of, from talking to guys this season while competing out there. The Friday Saturday was a legitimate maneuver, but for where we're at right now, the consensus was Saturday Sunday seemed to be more the temperament, what everybody's used to, and how their PTO works. So obviously we want to make sure that we can accommodate those pieces. I think this is going to make for some exciting finishes, and it's still going to require the 2-day strategy that that the national scene offers over say a local or regional 1-day event. So yeah, I love it, man. I think you've come up with something pretty awesome here.
Cool. I hope these little changes help a lot. A lot of people did want to go to the Saturday Sunday event, but we do want to keep it a 2-day event, and we want to keep the payouts big. Like they have been, solid payouts. And if we get the numbers up, then it's just going to grow even more. So hopefully these adjustments will make that happen and make everybody have a better season next year.
Right.
And we'll get all this posted up. I'll put all this up online in the Facebook group so everybody can see it too, if they haven't heard or not. But I really feel good. I like the schedule. I can't wait to release a schedule. I wish I could release it right now. I really do. I'm so close, but I'm trying to be patient so that we can put some quality into it instead of rushing things. So, but I do want everybody to know that the schedule is pretty much done, and there are no conflicts with Bassmaster. I don't think any with Hobie or Kayak Adventure Series. So I think we should be good.
And that's a huge testament to you reaching out and having that respect with Steve and AJ, that they'd be willing to share with that, because we're all in this thing, and everybody kind of has a piece of the pie right now, right? And so I think it's an awesome sign that they're willing to work with us, by communicating with us early. And so that's a super cool deal, and this will erase a lot of that, like you said, the conflict piece. Marty Hughes asked how many events. There you go, boss.
7 events total plus a championship. Best 4 of 7 for AOI, and then we're going to have a championship. Top 25 in AOI, they get into the championship for free.
That's sweet. So that'll be 8 total events there, and then throw in the Classic. That makes 9 total All-American events for the entire season.
Yeah, the Classic is kind of its standalone thing, but
right.
Excuse me, that's still going to stay the same. It'll be the last weekend in April on Truman Lake. The only change we're going to be making to that this year is we're going to allow clubs to qualify their top 15 instead of the top 10. So we're going to take it up a few numbers and let more guys get involved in this. So if you're a tournament director or you're in a club and you're watching this and you want to fish in the Classic next year, just make sure your tournament director gets me that roster at the end of the season. We're hoping that this Classic's going to be the best one yet. We've got some more goodies cooking up and some more special things that we're working on, especially with Eugene and some of the stuff you got cooking. I won't get into that right now, but the Classic should be a good one, so we want everybody to enjoy it. So top 15 in AOI from every club is invited.
That's going to be huge, man. That's going to open up the doors for even more folks. And it kind of also starts to remove down some of that, roll down, worry that guys were, I personally, from seeing it from an angler's point of view, the All-American was one of the most relaxed when it came to the roll downs, allowing, roll downs to take place as they were legitimate, reasons. So this is cool to see the 15, top 15 from each club coming around there. That head in, because this Classic this year was phenomenal. I mean, almost 200 anglers, tons of money and prizes going out. I mean, the awards deal, it was awesome. It was super cool.
Yeah, we've been able to do $10,000 to first place every year, so hopefully that continues and maybe even grows more next year. So the Classic should be a good time. So it's coming.
That's awesome, man. Super fun. All right. I'm looking down my list here, and I think you have pretty much hit on a ton of these. We don't have any more questions coming through. Just some comments thrown around. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, so Mr. Leggett is talking here. I'll just throw this up on the screen. It says, Heartland is working on our schedule now. We try not to schedule on top of AAKS, so any chance some of the directors in Midwest can get a sneak peek at the schedule you're working on?
Yeah, get with me, James. I'll let you know.
There we go. That's simple. So yeah, so how about boss, if you're okay with it, how about I talk about a couple of the things that we got cooking behind the scenes here?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Cool. All right, guys. So real quick, just to for those of you who have not had an opportunity to meet, I am going to be stepping in for Tyler Cole on the tournament director side, working underneath Mr. Boothe here and working with Troy, and doing my very best to fill some very big shoes. In my just a 30-second speech here on this whole thing, the All-American represents, in my personal opinion, what is exactly right about fishing. And it represents a section of the country that has not received proper representation. So because of that is why I personally chose, when I was first getting into kayak fishing, why I chose to go all in with the All-American. Coupled that with the fact that Josh and his team has created a reputation of integrity and competitive fair play and freaking awesome fisheries, man. Going to the right fisheries at the right time each year. So I can assure you, moving forward, I hope to do everything I can to carry forward those traditions in that sense. I will not be, if I'm directing one of the tournaments, I will not be competing, as this will be my first year as a tournament director. Therefore, I do not want to muddy the waters with me trying to also fish as well. I mean, I'm lucky enough to chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. So this is going to be something that you'll have my full 100% attention. On top of that, as some of you know, I am the founder and president of the True Patriot Outfitters, which is a Colorado-based nonprofit. We provide kayak fishing and camping trips for veterans, first responders, active military, and their families. What got me into that was my work with the Romans Warrior Foundation. And earlier this year, before any of this happened, I had made a presentation and a pitch to Josh, because what we wanted to do was make the All-American events even more special, even more impactful on the local communities where we were taking, this show on the road, so to speak. So what we are planning to do is we are the All-American Kayak Series and the Romans Warrior Foundation, which is a national nonprofit that has a division that does the very same thing. It happens to be the division that I run for them, is the Field Ops division. And what they do is kayak fishing, camping, hiking, things of that nature. Except they do it on a national level. And so that's why I run things through there. We are going to be locking shields together so that every event the All-American goes to, all 7 events, when we go into those towns, the day after competition concludes, we are going to be taking out a pair, 2 to 3, local, provide that's what we're aiming for. Our goal is, and keep in mind, a lot of this is the goal of where we're at right now. There's still a lot of moving parts to put together, but our goal is to take out a couple individuals, couple warriors out, and introduce them to kayak fishing in the given area, right on the tournament waters the day after everything concludes. That is, we hope to have them join us at the awards ceremony, and then we'll take them out to dinner. We'll do a little, briefing. Opportunities there for anybody who's interested in joining in as far as volunteering and helping out with these guys. Hit me on each one of these deals, because that volunteers are always a good thing. The more people on the water that can help introduce maybe somebody who hasn't been in a kayak before or been out bass fishing, it's a phenomenal deal. And who better than the guys that were just fishing it, if you happen to have that extra time at maybe one of those events. On top of that, there's a program we have called Fishing with a Mission, and this is where you guys get to come in. This is something I'll be releasing more details and more video on at a later date, but the bottom line is, the short version of it, Fishing with a Mission gives you an opportunity to actually help contribute back to a local community, say it be a nonprofit in the local area, or say a family that could use a hand up, and after we'll be working with local entities to determine who these folks or who these entities are going to be. But it's set up to where if you say you have a business there that's willing to make a pledge of, say, $1 an inch on your results, you put up 180 inches in 2 days, that's a $180 donation. I'm hoping if we can gather, and it's all it takes is you in your local area there, find one company as an angler that's willing to give you basically a pledge in that system. You don't have to be involved in taking any money, any of that. We'll send them links to where they can donate, and then we'll try to cut a check right there at the event to the recipient of that. From the Romans Warrior Foundation, we'll kick 100% of those donations will go straight to those folks. The purpose of this is just showing these local communities, whenever the All-American comes into town, man, we're invested in their local community. We want to thank them for hosting us, thank them for having us there, and we can leave an impact. It's been basically a dream to try to build these worlds together, and there's so many connections already. We're excited about some of these things, and it costs the All-American nothing. It takes really nothing from anybody in there. That's work that I'll be doing behind the scenes. And then with your help in those areas, we can make some of these places, I think, a really, really big impact that we can leave on these areas. That just leads to, obviously them wanting us back, the possibility of the All-American getting invited and receiving perhaps maybe stipends to come back and fish in these areas because they know we're gonna leave a positive impression with them. So, as these details become more and more finalized and we start getting a lot of these moving parts, I can tell you we're already working on them now and looking for a lot of that stuff. So I'll release those in our group section there. We'll try to put some videos together with it. We'll talk about it on the podcast, things of that nature, and we'll go from there. And that's pretty much it, man.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah. Let me see. We got a couple comments here. Let me see. Though picking a bottom water would be the key, hopeful to see AAKS hit somewhere a little bit farther west in the future. I think
Farther west.
Yeah, I think you got one on there that we were looking at.
Yeah, it depends on what their version of west is.
Well, this guy dropped in. He's from Colorado with me here. He's a damn good stick here in the States. So yes, if all everything comes through the way you were thinking of, there's one that's closer.
Yeah,
it's closer than La Crosse. I'll say that.
Yeah, I will say too, I just can't help myself, but we will go back to some of the good spots that have produced for us in the past. We will be going back to Minocqua in July, and we're also going to La Crosse. We're going back to Boothe. So there's a couple that are leaked right there. So for you northern guys, there's your love right there.
I was going to say it's a good northern swing. I love the balance of the proposed right now, that it's encompassing many regions. That you just gave a solid northern swing up there. There was a question earlier about coming to Minnesota. I can tell you from previous boat experience too, and current setup there, Minnesota tournaments are tough to come by. There are a lot of extra hoops you got to jump through with the state of Minnesota to get in, to get a permit, to fish, regardless of where you're at. I can tell you it is a tough run, and when you got bodies like Boothe and La Crosse sitting there, that's tough to compete against those. I mean, there's lots of fish in those places, and Boothe's got some freaking hogs hiding out in that water.
Yeah, that's been one of the favorites on the schedule every year.
James asks about entry fees. Are they changing?
They're going to slightly go up just a bit. I'm looking at $200 right now for the entry fee. And I mean, we were at $185 last year, so it's a $15 increase. And, that's to basically compensate for the amount that's going to be pulled out for the championship. So we can start padding that championship pot without having to reduce our payouts any. So $200 entry fee for members.
Right, and as you stated before, there's no membership requirement for AOI. Well, there is a membership requirement for AOI, but people can still compete as non-members, but they won't get the reduced entry, and nor will they get AOI as a non-member.
Right.
Right. But that still, it leaves it wide open for folks to come on in and get a piece of the pie there.
Yeah, the non-member entry fee extra is only going to be like $15, $20, something like that. So
Right.
it won't be too much.
One of the pieces after doing a lot of research on this stuff here, I was talking to some guys over the weekend. Everybody in our industry in the kayak side, has seen a reduction in entry. Everybody's seen a slowdown take place. Manufacturers are seeing it. Sales are down, across the board. If you talk to people out there, and it's not that it's dipping, but it's slowing down from where the craze was. The reason I think it hit us so hard is that we were already, on the lower end of entry there. We were still climbing that ladder coming up. So as everything else kind of hit, and then we tried a couple things that some folks didn't like, they didn't jump on board with. So it was like this perfect storm kind of all come together, and that's really what led to the a lot of the some of these events with the reduced numbers, is that everything together kind of hit all at once, and that's tough to push through. But I think it's a testament, man, to you guys and to the All-American and the anglers that we got another year in us here, and with everybody working hand in hand, we can make this an epic year and keep this trail where it belongs, right here in the Midwest, and keep us as having an option to come out there and compete against some of the best anglers in the country.
Yeah, numbers have definitely fallen off for everybody. It's like what you said. I mean, times are tough right now, and they don't want to admit it very often, but our economy sucks ass right now, and we're in a lot of trouble. So going to the grocery store costs more, hotels cost more, gas costs more, everything's costing more. So it's making it harder for guys to do, and I totally get it. It's impacting everybody. So hopefully it doesn't last forever.
Right. And that's another one of the pieces of the work that we're going to be doing in this time from literally now till next season is, when we go to a local area, we're going to see if we can use the power of us coming into town to find maybe some host, say a host hotel and or host campground that would be willing to take care of the anglers if the anglers take care of them by coming in and bringing some commerce into their town or into their facility. So a lot of times people will play ball with us, even if it's just a 10% discount. That's better than standard price, man. So if we can get bigger than that, we'll try to get bigger. But having hosts that we partner with, can be a big deal.
Yeah, that should really help us a lot next year. So looking forward to that.
One piece, not to go down a rabbit hole too far, but one thing that really helps with those hosts is when the anglers tag them in all of their pictures and such they're throwing up. That's a big deal that really, they like seeing that, man. If 30, 40 guys are, taking pictures of dinner or their balcony or whatever and tagging the host place in there, that goes a long way of really helping attract even bigger hosts later.
Exactly, and the more of that we can do, then the more they can do for us. So it's a win-win situation.
Totally. When you're in the grassroots side, man, that's what all this means, is that we band together. It makes the workload easy on everybody. It doesn't overtax any one person, and we can find win-win scenarios out there for sure.
Yep.
All right, so I'm looking down through here. I do not see any more questions coming through for sure. Did you have? So we've talked about entries. We've talked about the Saturday, Sunday. Talked about the new format of the day and a half.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, for sure, man. So if there's any questions out there, definitely let them fly. We got a good amount of people tuning in here live right now, so that's pretty awesome. If you didn't get a chance to tune in live and now you're watching this recorded, thank you very much. And as I would be remiss if I didn't always say that if you're watching this through through YouTube, please make sure to smash that subscribe for us. We appreciate that. This will continue to be the official channel, basically, of the All-American. All of our stuff will be coming through the True Patriot Outfitters, the podcast that I have here. We're just going to, it makes it a little bit easier to manage the two together. So a lot of the videos and such that we'll put out will come through the TPO. If we get big enough to the point where the All-American looks like it can stand, the podcast for just All-American stuff, if those analytics say that it can stand on its own, we'll spin it off into its own. But for right now, we're living in our skin, man. We're going to take this...
That's the motto for 2024.
That's right. We're just gonna let it grow itself as opposed to pushing it there.
Exactly.
So here's a good question. Jacob Ruff is throwing up. Still planning to partner with local clubs at each stop?
Absolutely, and that's probably the only reason why my schedule's not done yet is because I'm trying to do that. So, yes.
That's huge. That's right. I mean, that says volumes, man. It's awesome to get the local clubs in there, and get that support and work together with them, boost them up, let them boost us up, back and forth.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, we're all gambling addicts, so it's just another way to gamble. You just double down, and you can pay double entry fees and fish in 2 tournaments at once, and gamble away.
Heck yeah.
You're just gambling on yourself.
See, Todd says get with Jacob Ruff for Minocqua and La Crosse.
Right on, Todd. I'll definitely do that.
All right.
Those dates are already pretty much set, so I definitely want to get a hold of you guys to make sure it works out and there's nothing I didn't miss.
For sure. And there's so many clubs. I think Marty said this in one of the comments out there. The options for guys to fish now. There's a ton of local stuff, that's going on and just getting bigger and bigger. So it's cool to have all those options there for sure. I love the fact that we're one of the few that's coming into these areas where no one else comes in, and we give guys an opportunity to a hell of a payday and. Test your minerals, man. Go up against some of the guys, that there's a solid core group of guys with the All-American that travel from all over. So you're facing guys not just from your backyard anymore. You get to go up against some guys, that are damn good hooks from all around the country. That's awesome stuff.
Yeah, and it gives you a reason, to travel to some of these lakes that you would never go to before. I mean, going to a new location is always exciting and fun, but I mean, for some guys too, just going to these bucket list lakes is a chance it's an excuse, really. It's an excuse to travel.
Exactly. Yeah, the bucket list options. I had a chance this year to get to Gunnersville. Get first time ever getting to Big G down there, and man, what an amazing experience. Got my butt handed to me, but just seeing what that's like down there in that section of the country. Last year I got a chance to go to Pickwick. I mean, these are, I grew up as a kid hearing about these lakes and all the, the Rick Cluns and those guys, fishing on them, and, through the 90s, that group of guys hitting these places. It's super cool to get your kayak on those waters and be a part of that.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about just the traveling aspect of it, just going to these places and just enjoying the local food, the scenery, the history of the place. And I know for me personally, when I'm traveling, especially when I'm competing, that's one of my favorite things is just experiencing a new town, experiencing a new place. That to me is just as fun as going out on the water and experiencing a new lake.
For sure.
There's a lot more to it than just cashing a check. There's a whole lot more to it than just that.
There has to be, man. If you're only in this to cash a check only, and that's your whole piece, then you're going to be out inside of a year.
Yeah, you're not going to have a good time.
This sport will chew you up and spit you out so quick. Yeah, you got to embrace the grind, man. That much is certain. You gotta love the process and love the grind of it, and when you do that, you can really get a chance to take in a lot from going all over. For sure. So, well, I don't see any more questions coming in here. Just a couple comments going through. Again, you guys, thank you so very much for following us and for joining in here. If you're watching this after the fact, thank you. We appreciate it. Make sure to like that All-American Kayak Series page. Now, we're all part of the group that's out there, but before, to keep that group from getting spammed out, it's a private group. So when you share stuff from it or whatever, unless people are members of that group, they can't see it. The page fixes that. So like this is being broadcast on the page, so you can share this with anywhere you want. If you post things like pictures from the events or whatever, throw them up there on the page itself. It's relatively the same initial view, but it also is something that the public can see, or if somebody's interested in looking at us, they can see it there without being a part of the private group right away. So.
Yeah, that's actually pretty important too. I mean, I would like to ask everybody to please go like and follow the page. That also shows sponsors look at those followers too, and that has an effect on what we can do as well. Not only are we going to be announcing the results on there, so it's all shareable, but that's also a way to track our return on investment for sponsors. So the more numbers we've got there, the more we can do as far as getting sponsorship support. So please, yeah, just go take a minute and go like the page.
And that is something to be said, man. Sponsors means our ability to lower costs down because we can offset it with sponsor dollars. Sponsors mean bigger prizes, chances, at kayaks, chances at gear. Sponsors mean, better, cheaper cost for us when we go into an area because we have a better deal worked out with somebody. So yeah, if we all take a small, minute to really concern ourselves with it, it comes back. It can pay itself back, and that's
absolutely. I really want to get us away from having to have any membership dues at all, and we can't do that without sponsorship support. So, yeah, just take a minute, go like that page, and spread the word.
Awesome. All right, boss. Well, if that's it, I think we'll go ahead and cut this here. And unless you had anything else, there's no other questions are coming through.
That's all I got.
Awesome. Listen, guys, we sincerely appreciate everybody tuning in and checking this out. We're excited about 2024. It's going to be a blast. Please know there's a lot of work going into this stuff behind the scenes with the anglers' best interest in mind and the overall. I mean, that's the number one thing we talk about when we're back there is just making this an experience. As far as, please feel free, reach out, hit us up. Ping us on DMs, ping us in in the Facebook, the group there, wherever. You can find me anywhere on the TPO stuff. You can hit me up anytime, day or night. If I respond, that means I'm awake. If I don't, I'm not. But other than that, yeah, hit us up if you have any questions, and it's going to be an awesome deal. If I could ever get this thing figured out properly. All right, there we go. All right, guys, take care. Tight lines. Be safe.